Oh, hey everyone, Philosopher Stoner 666 here. I haven't made a video in a long time, just because I've sort of been busy dealing with my own personal life crap. I finally got my visa, and I'm leaving on October 12th to go to China, and just sort of, I've hit like I was doing videos there for a while, almost like a therapeutic thing, and eventually you reach a certain point where it's like, you don't need that anymore, or you get into something like, I had a period where I once played harmonica, instruments and stuff a lot. I'd fool around with that, and you just get sort of to a point where it's like, yeah, you don't need it anymore. And especially with the direction all this sort of philosophical thinking's been taking me, you just sort of hit the point where it's a brick wall, where unless you have something really interesting or important to say, it's like, well, why bother, especially with all this sort of, suicidal, yada yada, that sort of thinking. It's either you sort of reach a point where it's either you do it or you don't do it. And I had read a while back a blog post, and it's even in Thomas Ligotti's book, The Conspiracy Against the Human Race, where Leo Tolstoy is talking about, the 5 different kinds of people that are there, the ignorant, the delusional, and then he puts himself in the 5th category of people that are just, too weak to kill themselves. Yet they know that what they're doing, where they're going with their life, they're not going anywhere, they're not accomplishing anything. They know that the game they're really in is very deceptive, very, that really, it's not that pleasant. Yet they're too, they don't have the decisiveness or the will to act or just, fucking end it all, just kill themselves. I had been fucking around for a bit. I was in this forum. This guy mentioned something about berries, and then I went around and I had some free time and I was searching for berries. I figured, oh yeah, I can just take these fucking berries and then I'll die, but none of them are poisonous enough around here to actually kill yourself. I would just get really sick. That would just be stupid. There was a bridge around here, or there is a bridge around here that's like 50 meters tall, that I could jump off of, and that would get the job done. But you just sort of, yeah, I'm a coward, I'm weak, I'm in that 5th box. I don't know, I'm like this walking paradox, So you sort of reach this point where you either, you put up or you shut up. You hit a brick wall, and either you just go for it, do it, or shut up. There's nothing left to say. There's nowhere. It's pointless. If you really start to accept ideas like futility and all this sort of angsty philosophy, you can go on like the anti-natalism, ethylism blogs. It just starts to become like, yeah, there's nothing else to say. There's people on YouTube, other thinkers, other people that have basically it's all been said, it's all been done. I'm convinced, There's nothing else to say. So it's even I've been thinking a lot about some really strange, weird things. There was that guy, My Misery and Me. He actually made a video response to one of my videos months and months and months ago, and then now he's done like total 180 opposite, totally rejecting everything he previously said. He's like he made videos like love doesn't exist and all this sort of stuff, and then just totally 180'd. And I find it really amusing in a weird sort of way, but I can actually understand it, because it's even like what the existentialists did. They'd go on, life is absurd, yada yada yada, and they eventually reached the point where it was like, okay, what we're saying here is basically, yeah, life's crap. And then they had to, even just to get some airtime, they had to say, well, keep pushing on anyway, ride the wave anyway, kind of stuff. And it really just became a walking sort of paradox. And in a way, I guess I'm sort of like that, this walking paradox. And eventually, you can't handle it. You can't handle it anymore. So it's no wonder. I personally understand why people become Christians, or why people become, get into this religion, get into this Buddhism crap, do all this stuff. It's just another way to cope, because it eventually just becomes so well, damn, it really is that bleak, and we don't want to accept it. There's this some of us, or lots of us, that don't really want to accept it. They can't accept it. It's the truth, and there's this unconscious part of us that realizes it is the truth, but we don't want to. We can't face it. We can't face it squarely. And really, how I see it, because I've been doing some thinking about it for a while. I'd moved out to the country, this place called Miramichi, New Brunswick, and I've been here, a couple of months now, and it's completely different. I'd lived before in a small town for 3 months, but I didn't like it. It's even when I got here at first, I had panic attacks simply because of the amount of open space. I couldn't handle it. I was like, I had no reference point. There were no buildings. And basically, all this thinking I've been doing has led me to the point that cities, especially just large groups, they're really poisonous, especially cities. And what they produce are a lot of social misfits, social outcasts, and just a lot of refuse, a lot of people that are like me, like other people, these walking paradoxes. We don't need to be here. We're accidents. It's like even what Emil Cioran said. He's like, I'm simply an accident. Why take it all so seriously? But eventually there gets to be so many of these people that they form their own groups, right? So it's even funny how there's there's guys like Amendum, these other people, and people are throwing around these words like, oh yeah, cult, stuff like this and that. These accusations. None of it's true. It's simply, the people don't have an argument anymore, and they gotta, slander and fuck with people. But it's happened before. It's always been like that. You can even see in Christianity. Well, what was Christianity? It was a bunch of misfits and outcasts, right? Even Ayn Rand in the 60s, she had a lot of controversial ideas back then. I'm not saying I agree with some of it. Don't agree with all of it, obviously. But even back then, they called her a cult. And there was a sense where it was sort of true. She was kind of a cult. She was getting people's money. They even call what's his name, Stuffbot, that channel, that he's a cult, simply because he presents a lot of uncomfortable ideas, and not all of it. It's mostly just right-wing capitalist propaganda. But a lot of what he says, it does make sense. Makes sense, and people don't have an argument for it. So hey, he is a cult, even though he's not really a cult. But yeah, people are always going to, even if they are a cult, even if that is true, which it's not, but even if it is true, it's going to happen simply because, in a way, everybody is seeking social acceptance, popularity, money, fame, some sort of, for the people really delusional and really caught up in the game, seeking their own way of immortality. They don't like the game that they're presented with. That we can't all become, high-powered corporate CEOs and get the babes and the cars and all of it. And then we're frustrated. We have this unsatisfiable desire. And so, what did the punks, the goths, the metalheads, the Marilyn Manson people do? Well, they made their own groups. They made their own fashion, music, their own culture, because they didn't like the game they were presented with, so they made their own world, right? It's even things like that I can sort of see to a degree, things like antinatalism, stuff like that, that in a way it's another form of that. But, it's another group, and it's just an unfortunate fact of the way our society does things, where, there are just so many people that are throwaway. And really, the antinatalism kind of thought going in that direction is just the ultimate culmination of it, where it's like, do we really have to keep doing this? Do we have to keep creating all this redundancy, all this slop, all this sort of waste? Do we really do? Do there have to be more people like me in the world? More of these, frustrated, addicted, misfits that, that get up every day and thinking, what the hell am I doing here, Where the hell am I going? Oh yeah, that's right, I'm not going anywhere. But we're basically cowards and chicken shits that can't end it all. And it's like nobody wants to take any responsibility for it, right? So it's all very unfortunate. So, just you can understand the appeal of these sort of cults, even like really extreme cases, actual cults like Marilyn Manson, or no, Charles Manson, the real Charles Manson back in the 60s in California. He drew in all sorts of people that were, the refuse, right, the garbage, people that were just throwaways, and he was a total crazy fuck. But really, can you blame people? If there was a guy like Charles Manson and he came with the magic orgy bus full of drugs, I'd be like, yeah, fucking A, let me go on that bus, man. Anyway. So at the end of the day, I'm like this walking paradox, and I can even confess to being a little bit of a hypocrite. I tried to kick the meat habit, haven't been able to do it. But yeah, man, it's like there doesn't need to be any, there's nothing left to say. I had watched Emendam's videos for like years now, and I agree, pretty much with most of it. And it's like, yeah, there's nothing left to say, It's sort of, and my only message would be, I'm just another example of it. Don't create more me. Just because, just don't create more me. I don't need to be here. We don't need to be here. None of this, whatever. But it's all very deceptive. There's the fall colors here, and, even just with these facts, like the futility of it, and, the fact that we are all going to die, and all this sort of depressing shit. You think we'd be a fuck of a lot nicer to each other, but then we see that we can't. We don't want to do that. Because it's all about, we're all striving for that social hierarchy, dominance, that we really are just these tribal primates playing that sort of game. And it really is, a lot of it's just really unfortunate, And anyway, I'm just sort of rambling now, and, I'm not going to be making any more videos for a long time. I'll be in China. I won't even be able to. And hopefully in my travels, I'll pay off my debts, save up some money. I heard rumors that, like, in Peru, they have Nebutol or something like that, so maybe save up some money and travel there and get my fucking Nebutol. Or things will just get bad enough that the first opportunity that I see, when I go over a bridge, I will just jump it. I just have to sort of build up the tolerance to doing it. And yeah, anyways, probably nobody's even going to watch this fucking video. It doesn't matter. And then, look at me. I must look like a total hypocrite wearing my party poker hat. It's funny. I played poker. I started playing poker when I was like 15, 16. And back then I was a cynical, so kind of social misfit into, heavy metal music. Oh, there you go, You're making a video, or you're doing something, and, things could just randomly start going to shit, Like I was walking from over there, and I almost tripped. And just like that, bam, it can hit you. Just like that, 1 minute you're here, and then the next minute you're gone. But anyways, what was I saying? Party poker hat. That in a way I'm a bit of a hypocrite. But I started playing poker and stuff. And it's sort of like, you can sort of see that the game really is so contrived and stupid. But it's still an addictive game. Like, for reasons unknown, I've played. So really, I don't really even necessarily deserve any sympathy because I'm a coward and all that. But anyway, it's all really unfortunate. Anyways, I guess, another thing I was thinking about a bit was just, I've started to figure out a way of living that's been tolerable, that's been acceptable, that it really comes down to living the simple life, eliminating as many of your own, needs as possible. So like right now, there was a point in time I used to have like 7 pairs of pants, and then I was thinking to myself, how fucking stupid. I don't need 7 pairs of pants. And I gave most of them away to charity. I bought 2 new pairs of pants, so I have 2 pairs of pants. I got like a week's worth of underwear and socks and a few t-shirts, you know, a coat, you know, minimize everything. You know, I live in right now living in a small room. I have one room. I have my little computer set up. It makes everything simpler, you know. The more stuff you have, the more attachments you make, everything starts to get complicated. So really, if you sort of reach the point where I've reached, the simple life is definitely the way to go. And I'm not even original in saying that. The Buddhists and the Taoists and stuff said it, you know, thousands of fucking years ago, that the simple life, that's, if you're going to choose to live, that's the way to go. I'll start eliminating the stress and the burdens and all that sort of stuff, and really does make a difference. You can just relax, you know. And really, I guess the overall point I wanted to get is that, you know, you don't have to play their game, you know, the game that everybody else is doing. That really, I even see, you know, people always go on about how this sort of philosophy, not having children, this sort of thing, how really pessimistic it is. And really, I don't even see it that way. Even Derived Energy made a video a while back, just like a week ago or whatever, about how, you know, 10 reasons for ands and stuff to cheer up. And it's true, it really is about options. And antinatalism is just saying, you know, we have options. We don't have to keep doing this. You ever get too fed up and you can't handle it anymore, you can always kill yourself. You have that option. You should have that option. You should have the option to just do Nebutal. But yeah, you know, we don't have to do the rat race. You know, that it's all needs that you never asked for. You never requested any of it. It's all need that doesn't need to exist, right? And so basically, we don't have to play that game. You don't have to play that game. You have options. You have choices. If you really want to face up to it. And just a person like me, I'm just too weak to face it, too cowardly. So, yeah, anyway. I guess that's enough of a video. I gotta go do stuff. And, yeah.